Our defense last year was suspect at times. So why does returning players excite us on that defense? Well, it's because it's the right returning players.
Hmm.
It's the people Kirby wants, and it's stout in the trenches. We're going to talk about who's coming back for Georgia Bulldogs football this coming year next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. More on them in a moment. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We love all of you. As Clint mentioned on yesterday's show, we have had a tremendous 2023 and are looking forward to an incredible 2024. The podcast continues to grow, and that is thanks to all of you. If you have not yet done so, you can subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend about the show. You can follow us on Twitter at Dawgs Podcast. If you want to reach out, the best way to get a hold of us, send us an email, lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com. We would love to interact with you if you've got ideas, segments for the show, anything that you want us to talk about. We're compiling a list for the off season. There's too much to talk about, so we haven't been able to get to any of your ideas yet, but just know we have saved all those emails, starred them. We've got the list ready. So when we get into the dark days of the offseason, we'll have plenty to talk about. So send us those ideas if you've got them. We'd love to hear from you. Alabama fans who keep emailing us, we'd love to hear from you as well. Thank you so much.
He's not kidding. No, we love hearing from you, and thank you.
It's a delight to hear from you. When an Alabama fan sends me a mocking email about 3 hours before, hit send about 3 hours before Nick Saban announces his retirement, it is poetry in my inbox. It is absolutely spectacular in every sense of the word. So today we got a busy show. We're going to talk defensive returners, as Clint mentioned. We're going to talk about the basketball team, who suffered a pretty tough loss over the weekend to a very good Tennessee team, and who has another opportunity for what might be an even bigger game. Hold that thought. If you're confused why I'm talking about an unranked South Carolina team as potentially a bigger game for Georgia, I'll tell you why when we get there. But first, Clint, let's start on the football team. Let's start with the defense. Too big, and I use that term in every sense of its meaning. I'm talking about significant and physically large in size. Big Correct. Announcements. One of them is that Warren Brinson is coming back, and then certainly bigger in terms of physical size because he might be the biggest person on the football team. Nazir Stackhouse is also coming back. Running it back in Athens for another season. Two stalwarts in the trenches for Georgia. You said that our defense did not perform up to expectations this year, which I thought was a significant moment of growth for you. So I wanted to just celebrate you here publicly on the podcast.
I've had two of the worst takes of my entire life are Jimmy C's hidden playbook for down the stretch.
Tinfoil hat for you longtime listeners.
And then my take that this defense was going to be extraordinary, and was for most.
Which you really held on to, white-knuckled for a long time, and I commend you for your commitment to the bit. But the bit is over. The defense wasn't great. It was fine. No. It wasn't great. It wasn't good enough. But not all defensive returners are created equal, and these two are ones that we are significantly excited about. And there's a few reasons why, Clint. What's the first reason that Georgia fans should be thrilled that these guys are coming back?
One is, I said it at the opening, it's the right guys coming back. We have a rotation of young players, Christian Miller being, I think, at the forefront of it, as well as
Jordan
some other guys. Jordan Hall has shown out a little bit as well. But when we're talking about consistency of how this defense performs and how this defense is schemed, Nazir Stackhouse was not a major problem to this defense last year. He did his job admirably well, all things considered. We
very rarely was I frustrated with Nazir Stackhouse, if ever, this season.
Brinson showed flashes that were incredible all the way throughout the entirety of the season. Now, getting that floor up is going to be his big key to 2024, not just having the exceptional ceiling that he has, but having the floor come up. But Daniel, the thing that I'm most excited about, these are the right people, because now we have athletic, speedy linebackers who have not needing to share snaps quotas on them whatsoever. These two guys coming back, and as well as Ingram Dawkins, know how to, Michael Williams switching out to a new position as well, no longer being asked to be defensive end, but being outside Jack and the Joker, outside, being that edge pressure is a massive deal. We saw it in the bowl game. He had, I think his grade in that game was something like 93.7.
You know what it's going to do too? It's going to open up more opportunities for guys like Christian Miller, who, like, don't let positions weird you out, Georgia fans, right? You remember Trayvon Walker, right?
Yeah.
He listed as a defensive tackle. He played defensive tackle. He also played defensive end. He also stood up. He also moved to nose in some packages, like some third down packages. Like he played all over the front. You're going to see guys like Christian Miller have opportunities to do. I'm not saying he's a Trayvon Walker type player, but you're going to see him have opportunities to do things like that, because you move guys like Michael further outside, and you've got Ingram Dawkins, Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse anchoring that front, and you add Jordan Hall to that mix. Now you have 4 really stout interior defenders. Okay, you line them up however you want. You got third down packages, you got first and second down packages, you got speed packages, you got stop the run packages, you got packages that you're going to play when you're going up against certain teams, and other packages you're going to see more when you're up against other teams. But you got, those are 4 classic interior defensive linemen. Now, none of them are Jalen Carter, none of them are Jordan Davis, but they're all very good, with Jordan Hall probably having the highest ceiling, just because we haven't seen as much out of them yet. But guys like Christian Miller and some other significant players, on this Georgia front, are going to have more opportunities to show some versatility and move around a little bit, because they're not going to be forced to fill these roles of these veterans who are departing and get stuck in one spot on that defensive front. I think that, to me, is the biggest thing that this does, is it opens up a ton of versatility for Trey Scott, who, by the way, Clint, we talked about the defensive coaching staff and all this stuff.
Oversight on us. We screwed up.
Let the record show that Trey Scott is an island. And here's what I mean. Kirby Smart is the best secondary coach to ever coach in college football.
Hands down.
Glenn Schumann is currently the best linebackers coach in all of college football. Like, that is almost unquestioned, surely, from any fan base. That's your defensive coordinator and your head coach, right? They're hovering over those 2 areas of the field. Trey Scott, meanwhile, is just a position coach. He's not a co-anything. He's just a lowly position coach. And he's just been quietly doing his job now for several years. What is this? Year 5 in Athens for Trey Scott? And he is, in a sense, now it's not like Kirby doesn't know how to coach defensive linemen. It's not like Glenn doesn't know how to coach defensive linemen. It's not like Will Muschamp doesn't know how to coach defensive linemen. But Trey Scott's been operating on a bit of an island, and he's been doing an exceptional job. These are huge returning gets for the Georgia defense and for Trey Scott. And he's going to be able to mix things up and match players to positions to best fit the team. That's going to be huge for Georgia this season.
It's going to be exceptional. These are the 2 that you wanted to come back stout. They're going to improve their draft stock incredibly. We're going to come back after this, let you know more about UGA athletics and why you should be excited about a game this weekend. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Jace Medical. Jace Medical is where you need to go right now for all of your antibiotic needs. Right now, I don't know what it would be like if, in the midst of a worst flu in a decade, you didn't have medications for your loved ones and for everything else that you need to get them through, for your kids, for your elderly parents, whatever it is that you need, Jace Medical is the place to go. And I know we come to sports to escape things, but this is serious. Let's talk about it. Let's get antibiotics that come straight to you, that deal with a whole host of illnesses, from the flu, from skin infections, from bacteria. Jace Medical is going to send you, after you have a pharmacy aided consult that comes straight to your door.
Actual people, real people
that will go ahead and do it. A licensed doctor will go ahead and look at it, check it out, and send you everything that you need right to your door. Use promo code Locked On for $20 off. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. Okay, let's be real. First and foremost, again, I want to continue this throughout the entirety of the season. Get in on Georgia basketball, please. It's fantastic. I am all in. It is there. It is great. We had an incredible game this last weekend. The Steg was absolutely.
I've never seen it like that. I've never seen it like that.
Daniel,
if you were in the Steg this weekend, please comment. Let us know what it was like, because it was. I watch college basketball all the time, Clint. You know that. I'm a diehard college basketball fan.
Diehard.
And I see these environments around the country. I see them at Kansas. I see them at Duke. I see them at North Carolina. I see them all over the place. I see them at Auburn, Clint. And it crushes me to see these environments, these electric college basketball environments. We had one on Saturday in Athens. And don't say Georgia wasted the opportunity. Yes, Georgia did not win the game. And yes, it was a pretty crushing defeat. Blew a lead. Gave up a kind of a pretty significant run at the end of the game. Couldn't score.
11-1 run at some point.
Couldn't score down the stretch and ended up losing the game in pretty heartbreaking fashion to Tennessee. But the environment was elite. And I think my main takeaway from this game is, yes, Georgia missed an opportunity for a quad one win, a resume win, an NCAA tournament win. But I think Georgia definitively solidified and proved that this basketball team is not going anywhere. Maybe they make the tournament. Maybe they don't make the tournament. I think that is legitimately still up in the air at this point.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's legitimately up in the air at this point, Clint, is unbelievable, even for a Georgia optimist basketball fan. I never imagined that this late into the season that Georgia would be this good and still have a legitimate chance to make the NCAA tournament. But either way, whether we make the tournament or not, this team is not a fluke. There is nothing weird about the fact that we have won these games and that we have competed the way that we have.
Yeah, I want to encourage you, much like UGA football nihilist on Twitter. It's a way to emotionally hedge things. I am an emotional nihilist as it pertains to Georgia basketball. Okay, I got fooled into Tom Crean's hype early on. Ant-Man,
we all did.
We all did. Ant-Man,
positionless basketball.
Oh my gosh, I once
Thunder
again,
and lightning.
Thunder and lightning and positionless basketball. If you want to fight me in a Chili's, use those two in a sentence together, and Bama fan and I will tussle. This is not. I am as much of a regulator. My job on this podcast is to try to temper Daniel's expectation as it pertains to basketball. And here's what's becoming very difficult about my job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can do it much longer.
Well, because you also have eyes.
I have eyeballs.
You also are a conscious human being.
And I watch other teams. Here's what's unique. Here's so again, when I watch other teams play elite college basketball, and then I turn on Georgia, there's similarities abound everywhere. Okay. Like this is the difference. In Tom Crean, it was a bunch of guys standing around doing nothing and just relying on shots to randomly go in, or me to do an off dribble basketball. Ball is moving. Shots are being taken. There's confidence. Like the amount of just, I want to put the dagger in this team that they had, being down 15 to Tennessee and coming back to make it a game. Like these are the things that good teams do. So if you're just observing, if you're looking at this and being like, no, it's UGA basketball, we're never going to be Kentucky or whatnot. Go look at the other teams that are top tier and then look at Georgia, and the similarities are becoming one big circle Venn diagram of what Mike White is doing. It's incredible defense. It's incredible big man presence, which we're only going to get more of as the recruits keep rolling in. We have more in the hopper coming. We have guys that are looking, not looking to pass the ball and facilitate, although that's important, but are looking when they have an open shot to take it because they have confidence. I'm going to drill this. I'm going to nail this. We're going to get our floor shots. We're going to get our 3-pointers, as well as play incredible defense and rebound the ball. Like, it's hard for me to keep regulating this because the tournament before I watched Tennessee game, Daniel, I thought tournaments, whatever, we're never going to get there. And then I watched the Tennessee game and I thought, never mind. That was a stupid statement. I don't know if we will, but it's no longer off the table for me. I can't stop that from entering my head.
I know it's a home game, and I know it's an incredible atmosphere, and I know that plays a big role in college basketball. Tennessee is an actual contender to make the Final Four. This isn't a good basketball team. This isn't a great basketball team. This is one of the elite basketball teams in the country at Tennessee. They are experienced. Dalton Knecht is one of the best players in America.
I mean, that dude.
They're not in any way, shape, or form a normal opponent. And Georgia was right there with them every step of the way. They did not flinch when they were down early in the first half. When shots were not going in, they held their ground. When the defense even didn't look great at times, they stuck with it. They fought back. They ended that first half and began that second half on that incredible run. We coached even with Tennessee, and we played even with Tennessee, which is not something that a Georgia basketball team has been able to say in a long time. Okay, so there's a lot of things to take away. There's a lot of exciting things. My main takeaway from this game, Clint, over the weekend, and as we begin to transition and talk about what's next for Georgia basketball, but I think my main takeaway was that he was not the best player on the court. He was not, he did not hit the flashiest shots or whatever.
No.
But Silas Demery is the guy that makes this team go. And he is different than any Georgia basketball recruit, freshman, that I have seen come to Athens in a long time. Like, the way that his physicality, his toughness, the way he rebounds, the way he facilitates, and the way that he has begun to shoot the ball with confidence, even he came to Athens with a 24/7 bio that read, not a good perimeter shooter.
Yes.
And his first few games in Athens confirmed that 24/7 bio. We're not big fans of gurus and insiders, but some gurus and insiders at 24/7 were pretty accurate on that, because the young man could not shoot the ball from the perimeter. He's still not Noah Thomason or Jabri Abdur-Rahim looking for his shot. But he is a confident shooter now when he has the opportunity.
That's right.
And when he puts his head down, Clint, and makes his way into the lane, when he makes his way towards the basket now,
what happens?
Now we're feeling some feelings, because he is not, he transitions from confident to angry and determined. He is the most important recruit that Georgia basketball has signed in the last 30 years. And it's not even close.
Oh, dang.
I said what I said. I don't know. He's not the best, but he is the most important.
Nuance is important, people. Listen. It's
because
important.
If he stays in Athens, which I think he will, he's going to do things on this team that Anthony Edwards or any other recruit have not even dreamed of doing.
Yes.
And he's going to be in the line of dominoes that begins to fall, we hope, under Coach Mike White.
Here we go.
Where he signs, and all of a sudden, Blue Cane says, oh, Athens is an intriguing place. Let me look into that. I'll sign. All of a sudden, 2024 recruits look at Athens and they say, oh, well, that's interesting. The young core of talent that's there, that's coming back, that looks like an interesting place. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll sign. He's not a 5-star, but he's exactly what a program like Georgia has needed. I've been saying for years, I would happily never sign another 5-star basketball player, and I mean this with every fiber of my being. Never sign another 5-star basketball player. If you could guarantee me that Georgia never signed more than one 3-star basketball player in a cycle, and it was just a roster of 4 stars, because that's how you win in college basketball. It's not how you put players in the draft.
No,
but it's how you win. I give you the Houston Cougars. There's just so many examples that you could go to.
Y'all want to go to the Pacific Northwest and talk about little tiny podunk towns up there that have no business being good at college basketball, and yet they are? Gonzaga, there's a reason.
Yeah, it's you recruit solid, good players, and then you keep them and you develop them.
Correct.
And they get better and better. That's who Georgia is. Georgia has a big game this weekend, Clint. A big game this weekend, and we're going to talk about it right after this.
But let's not forget about FanDuel. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more. FanDuel is incredible. They're the official sports book of Locked On Bulldogs and Locked On podcasts everywhere. Daniel and I love them. We go over there, make our bets, make our wagers. Right now, there's something called a Parlay Hub, which if you haven't experienced the Parlay Hub,
it's imagine what it might be. It's that. It's a hub of parlays that you could just scroll through and choose from.
It's pretty simple. It's a great way to understand betting, get into the action. Right now, NFL action is continuing on. And although Matt Stafford does not have an opportunity to get another ring, he is still by the way, Detroit, you're the worst. I'm happy you won a game, but never boo that man again. You're the worst.
Oh, well, the people of Detroit can't be helped. It's the first time they've experienced any joy in their whole life. So you can't.
Right now, FanDuel, you can experience joy right now. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Use promo code LockedOn. And right now, you get $150 in bonus bets for a $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. My job as regulator for this, for Daniel in basketball, as well as producer on a basketball second segment and third segment, going over very well as we are well over time, because I can't stop this man from talking about the basketball team. He is in his groove.
I can't. I won't. Why would I? Let me ask you that.
All right. So, Daniel, you made a comment that I think is very, very well informed, and I actually think is very true. We lost to Tennessee at home and kind of floundered the last 3.5 minutes of that game, which is very, very sad. But we have a chance for a bigger game and a more important win when we play South Carolina. Why is that?
Well, we've been talking about this for a while, but in case you're new and you're new to college basketball, let me inform you of the most important thing that you need to do. Forget about the AP poll. Pretend that it does not exist. Do not look at it ever. Do not base your decisions about who's good and who's not on the AP poll. You know why you shouldn't do that? Because no one on the committee that decides who goes to the NCAA tournament looks at the AP poll at all. The thing that they look at is called the net ranking. It is a computer metric. Think about the BCS if you're a college football fan. It's a computer ranking system, a metric that grades and evaluates every college basketball team in the country and ranks them. And it divides up all of the games on your schedule into 4 distinct quads. There's quad 1, opponents, 2, 3, and 4. As long as you don't lose to teams in quad 3 or quad 4, which, by the way, Georgia is undefeated against quad 3 and 4 teams this year. They are 3-3 against quad 2. So those losses don't really hurt you, but the wins don't help you nearly as much. Quad 1 is the area where the losses hurt you 0. So loss to Tennessee this weekend did absolutely nothing. Georgia's net ranking did not change. before the Tennessee game and after the Tennessee game. It's something that college football fans can't understand. You lost a game and you do not change in your evaluation because college basketball takes into account how good Tennessee is. So Georgia's ranking does not change. It is a missed opportunity because those are the wins that you desperately need. Now, a quad one win is a top 25 team at home, a top 50 team on a neutral site, or a top 75 team on the road counts as a quad one win. That's based on the net ranking. Tennessee is 6th in the net right now. As we said, an elite college basketball team.
Yes.
They're 6th in the net right now. So that would have been a quad one win. It was a missed opportunity for Georgia. They were there at the end. They could have won it. They didn't. Georgia goes on the road to South Carolina, and South Carolina is currently ranked 54th in the net. That is higher than Georgia, but that doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is that South Carolina is in the top 75, squarely in the top 75. If Georgia beats them, they'll still be squarely in the top 75 in the net, which means Georgia will have a precious quad one win. If you're a Georgia basketball fan right now, you should be cheering for Wake Forest in every game that they play, because Wake Forest, if they were to get into the top 25 in the net, would give Georgia another quad one win. That's probably Georgia's best opportunity because Florida State sucks, unfortunately. Probably Georgia's best opportunity for a team they've already played to get into quad one that they beat. Georgia's got a chance this weekend to get a win that the committee is going to view identically to Tennessee this past weekend. It is on the road in a tough place to play in Columbia, South Carolina, a place Georgia has not had very much success on the basketball court.
No.
But it is against a team that is not nearly as good as the Tennessee Volunteers. And Georgia has proven, Clint, that they can win on the road. They can win these road games. It would be a big one this weekend.
I just don't. I think the thing that I want to talk about is this. This has to. I've been watching and researching other college basketball analysis from other websites and other people. These folk don't know who Georgia is, Daniel. Like, they keep on putting them down near the bottom of the barrel on SEC power rankings and the tournament. And there's only a handful of people talking about Final Four out and first four out, Final Four in, that sort of thing. But Daniel, you win on the road to South Carolina. The narrative flips, just like you said, it flips, it changes from a program that couldn't do that before, and no one was expecting before. I think just take a quick understanding of where we are as a program. Before going to South Carolina, it was like, well, okay, hey, let's temper your expectations. Let's not think too much. It'd be great if we did. All of a sudden now it's like, no, I'm anticipating us winning this game. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are as a program. And it's quite incredible. We have a great opportunity, like you were talking about. Thank you for giving the listeners an understanding of what it means to have significant wins. Some wins are more significant than others. Some games are more significant to others.
That is very true.
And this is one of those.
It's going to be a tough game for Georgia to win. It's not by any means an easy game, but let me just say this. If you are worried about Georgia's opportunities to make the tournament and you think losing to Tennessee is the chance that Georgia had to make the tournament, 4 out of the next 5 games on Georgia's schedule will be against quad one opponents. 4 of the next 5. So the opportunities are there.
Yep.
Georgia needs 3 quad one wins on the season. Not in the next 5 games, on the season, in order, I think, to be in a place where they feel great about the NCAA tournament, as long as they don't have any terrible losses. And it's hard to get a terrible loss in the SEC, right? Georgia plays at Vanderbilt this year, not at home against Vanderbilt.
Yep.
A home loss against Vanderbilt would be a terrible loss. A road loss to Vanderbilt isn't even that bad. There aren't any bad games on the rest of the schedule for Georgia. And so there's going to be plenty of opportunities for the resume to improve. And there's not really many opportunities for the resume to get dinged. And so if you're Georgia fans, all you need is for Georgia to win some of these games. And they have an opportunity to do that. tonight on Tuesday night in Columbia, South Carolina. Tune in. I will be watching. Clint will be watching, and we will talk about it on tomorrow's show. And lots more from the football team and all sorts of Georgia news here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
Hi, Bama fan.
And we'll see y'all then.